guys, so it's been a little bit since I have uploaded a video because we had a full episode with lots of hospital visits and lots of feeling bad. I'm just recovering from that. But anyway, so I should be better now. Enough with rambling why I haven't been doing my weekly video goals. I'm going to talk about how I started photography and how it has been possible for me to make over $2,000 just starting my photography business as a beginner in high school. So let's get on into that and how to be successful starting yours, because I get a lot of questions and you guys can do it. This little hair will never leave me alone. Anyways, we're gonna get into this. So when you first start photography, I know for me it was very overwhelming and I'm sweating so much because I'm feeling overwhelmed. Yeah, this is the life. When I first started photography, I've always had a camera in my hand since I was like in 4th grade. I started with my parents' old family camera, and as you guys know, I've been making videos off and on just for fun, creativity wise, whatever, ever since. But I just decided to start doing photography this past spring because COVID hit, boredom hit, and there I was. Had a camera, was inspired, and picked it up and went. That's the first advice I would say. Pick up your camera and just start taking pictures, figure out the angle, figure out the lighting, figure out what makes it something beautiful, because really anything, even if it's ugly, I feel like if you get the right angle, then you got a good photo. Basically, first time photography, it is super overwhelming and difficult, but here are some tips that I took upon myself when I started photography and that made it a lot easier to learn. Get comfortable using ISO, aperture, and shutter speed on any camera. No matter what you have to learn this. It's a core basic thing you have to learn when it comes to photography, and this was very stressful for me. I still don't know everything about this. I'm still experimenting, trying things out, but it also helps if you have mentors. Watch people on YouTube, look things up. YouTube is a big help when it comes to photography. All this pandemic stuff that's going on, there's been so many free online classes available, so I took advantage of those, and I definitely recommend you guys taking advantage of those because they're free. It's a free class. Why would you go out and pay money for it? We can take these classes for free. A lot of photography is just learning and doing it yourself. No one can do it for you but yourself. So I would definitely recommend go on there and download like Pinterest cheat sheets for learning how to do ISO, shutter speed, and dealing with lighting and stuff. So that will help you know what to set your camera settings for. That way you're not confused because your camera settings will be different depending on the lighting. So having a cheat sheet, watching YouTube videos, and doing the online classes and getting help from other mentors and online materials will definitely help you in your first steps in starting how to understand a camera, because that was a big concept for me and still is. I still have a lot to learn, but it's just what I know. Then it comes down to buying a camera. So I recommend really start with any camera. You don't have to have an amazing camera, but I definitely recommend just getting off your iPhone. When I first had my iPhone and I started taking a picture from it, I'm not gonna lie, I was one of those people who was like, why would you ever need to buy a camera? Like, an iPhone photo is just as good. But then I realized that when you get up close and faces and stuff, you can really tell that it distorts how your body looks. So I decided to get a camera because I was like, okay, I need to stop taking photos and having people pay. I had people pay me for taking photos on my iPhone of them. They did that for a while, but then I was like, okay, I need to get more professional. I'm gonna buy a camera. And you guys, really, you don't have to spend all kinds of money on your camera. I recommend going on Craigslist, eBay, anything, or last resort Amazon or Best Buy when buying a new one. But definitely look what you want when it comes to buying cameras on eBay or Craigslist or people around you. So many people have cameras laying in their house, and I asked my friend to buy his and he let me buy it, and I got a pretty good deal for it, and I'm so thankful for him selling it to me. So definitely look around, search around before you go out and buy a brand new one. The camera I have is the typical beginner camera, which is a Canon EOS Rebel T6. This thing, I'm very happy with how it has turned out. Great quality pictures, super basic settings. It's just the beginning of learning how to do photography and dipping your toes into cameras. And I also have the 50 milliliter lens of the kit lens, 50 milliliter 1.8. And then I also have this zoom lens. The main one I recommend when getting into photography is any 50 milliliter lens. They aren't too expensive, so I highly recommend. I use this one for literally all my photos, like these two. They're great, but I only use them for certain things. That's how photography comes down. But this one, if you're just wanting to do portraits, basic photography, this one is for you. It goes so far and it's cheap. I got this because I watched Jessica Cabesi's video. I don't know how to say her name. And she has a video talking about all like great beginner cameras, and getting so bright. Definitely watch her videos because she gives tips on what cameras to buy when you're first starting out in photography, and also how to not like go blow a huge dollar. So definitely recommend watching her. When it comes to photography, anyone can have a good camera. Anyone can understand what it takes to take a nice, clean, sharp photo. But if you don't know how to pep up your clients, work with them, and inspire them to feel their best selves, and really just to pose, be talkative and social with your client, whoever you're working with, you will not get far in photography. Those skills measure up so much more knowing how to pep somebody up and work together, like having a list planned, knowing how much like you need to pay, how to like get clients and market yourself. All of that means so much more. Your personality and who you are and what you do and what you want to bring and what you want to let those people like leave with, the feeling that they have is so much more valuable than just getting a clean cut sharp photo, because people will come back to you and it really shows in your performance in photography. So here we go with like all these things. Get your notebook. Really pep up your client. Understand how when you take photos you're kind of insecure. You're like, oh, I don't know if this angle looks good. Everyone feels that way when it comes to taking photos. So just when you're taking photos of people, imagine yourself in their shoes. I'm gonna change the slide. This is so bad. Nerve-wracking, and it's kind of scary because you want to look good and you don't know if you're gonna look good. Work with that person no matter what body shape it is. You have to find their best angles. The more themselves they are and the comfortable, like how comfortable they feel, the greater photos and the more raw, beautiful photos you will have of them. So really, like, it's so cheesy, but say like, girl, you look amazing, like pep her up, I love your outfit, I love your clothes, awesome smile. And if they aren't doing something right and you said, hey, can you turn your head just a little bit? That looks good, but I think this would help you a bit. Like, just don't be mean when they're doing something that looks bad, but just kind of say, hey, that looks okay, or that looks good, but I think I have something different in mind. Like, don't put their idea down, basically, but really work in the effort and have energy to pep them up. Your energy and how you feel about yourself, like, really comes off on your client. So make sure that they feel comfortable and that they can trust you and that they're just like the most beautiful thing on earth, basically, because, which they really are, not to like use as a lying tactic, but make them feel their best selves. They should feel good and happy. Really pump them up. Really market yourself and post as much as you can. Produce as much content as you can. Have people share it, tag you. Get your name out there so then other people want to take photos from you. That was like my main thing. I just started taking photos of my family, and then it kind of went to cousins, and then my name going through just my family was giving me clients to other people who are like family friends, and like even they're so on to people who I don't know anymore, and to like other cities and towns. So once you get your name out there and people share you and tag you and you're posting, then people will notice you. So take as many pictures as possible when it comes to a photo shoot, especially when you're like just beginning, because something you might think looks good maybe is not going to look good on that type of person. So you're gonna want to, I always make sure to have a bunch, like an overload of photos. I go over the top, like I push people even like when they don't want to, say, hey, like I think we need to do this, just because if it looks good. Get all the options where you think a photo would look good at. That way you have so many photos and a lot of photos if another part of the shoot didn't work out. That way you have that different location or whatever as a backup. So definitely take as much photos as possible, many poses as possible, because as a beginner there are a lot of places where things could be fuzzy or the lighting can be off. So I definitely recommend taking as many photos as you can. That way you have some backups if some don't work out. Just like one of the things also when it comes to being an amazing photographer, I think, is gauging and grabbing, understanding, I'm using so much my hands, I'm sorry, understanding people's aesthetics and vibes and who they want to be and who they are as a person. You want to display them as who they strive to be and who they want to portray with the world. So if they tell you, hey, I want this style, and really, like, I love Pinterest for this reason. This is like my main use on Pinterest, is just looking up different styles of photos, and you pin them, pin poses. That way you have poses set up for the shoot and editing styles, ideas for the shoot that you kind of want to like copy and get the vibe of the shoot that you want. That way when you are shooting, you know what you're trying to grasp, and when you're editing, that's what you're basing your editing style on. So really study aesthetics, study different themes of photos. I feel like that's been like my main thing. Each client I have, everyone gets a Pinterest board, and I pin photos, they pin photos. That way we have an idea, a solid idea of what we want to get. That way also helps them plan, like practice beforehand, looks like facial expressions and outfits beforehand, poses. It just really helps get the client more comfortable and prepared for the shoot. That way they don't show up and like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't really know how to pose, which obviously you're gonna have to help them, but like it will definitely make them more comfortable beforehand. And at first I did not have a price sheet. I kind of just ranged. I started out with like 20 bucks for a shoot, and now my prices have definitely gone a lot higher. I mean, they're not like too expensive, but like they are a great income for me as a high school student. So definitely make yourself a price sheet and change it whenever it needs to be. It's more kind of like a rough draft and a guideline, like a suggestion that can differ between what that person wants. So just have like a couple pages and packages, because that helps the person know what they want and how much they're gonna pay and how many hours, like outfits and different things like that. Right, so another tip is, at first I'm not gonna lie, I use presets from Lightroom to edit photos, and I kind of tweaked them. But then over time I began learning how to like do the contrast, different colors on Lightroom, and now it's like, it at first was confusing, but the more you play around with the editing settings, the more you learn how to do it. So you can start out with the presets like at the very beginning, but definitely don't cling to them, because you want your photo to be your own and edited by you. So just play around, maybe look up YouTube tutorials and look up how to do certain things, what this edit does. It'll really help you come up with your own filter instead of just using somebody else's. So those are all my tips for how to be successful in beginner photography. I'm definitely so happy with discovering this journey, and it's done so many amazing things for me already. I worked with a modeling company, Gaia Models, I don't know, in a town near me, a city near me, and I was so excited to work with them. All their models were super amazing. I've got senior clients, all such a process and a learning process, and definitely don't stop, don't get discouraged. You will get there. Keep on tweaking things, figuring out for yourself, and I promise you it will all come together, and the people will come as you grow. And just have photo shoots, have fun, be creative, and never let anything stop you. That is like my first thing here. So I hope these ideas helped and my hands weren't too distracting. I know I need to learn a lot more. It's definitely a journey, but I do feel successful in where I am and where I'm going in photography, because I've already brought in so much for me as just a senior in high school and just starting within just a few months. So definitely get started and pick up your camera, take photos, take the first step. Anyways, make sure to subscribe. I would definitely appreciate that if you're watching on my YouTube channel, and if you're watching on my Instagram, please give me a thumbs up, maybe comment below, and stick around, follow me. I'd love to have you. See you guys, and have a great day, and good luck on your photography. Bye guys.